The NBA just faced its biggest nightmare after the FBI arrested Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups in a massive gambling sting. On October 23, 2025, federal indictments sent shockwaves through the sports world, alleging that an active NBA star and a Hall of Fame coach were part of a mafia-backed rigging scheme. While the league tries to distance itself from the fallout, the financial receipts and text message timelines tell a story of manipulation that goes far deeper than just a few bad bets. Today, we're answering 3 critical questions. How did Terry Rozier allegedly use his own injuries to fuel a $200,000 betting payday? Why was a legendary head coach like Chauncey Billups caught in underground poker games backed by the mob? And what does the FBI's discovery of X-ray technology and rigged shuffling machines mean for the integrity of the league? The common narrative you see on sports talk shows is that this is just a case of a few individuals making poor choices. People want to believe that the NBA's partnership with legal betting apps has nothing to do with these underground crimes. However, the superior reality is that the lines between legal gambling and organized crime have become dangerously blurred. Per the FBI investigation, led by Director Kash Patel, this wasn't just a side hustle. This was a professional rigging operation that spanned years, involving insider information and high-tech cheating devices designed to lure in wealthy victims. We're looking at an operation that treated the NBA like a personal ATM, and the receipts show exactly how they cashed out. The second biggest revelation involves the trap hidden in the revenue sharing clause. But before we get to the money, we have to look at the mafia poker connection involving Chauncey Billups. According to the FBI, Billups wasn't just playing cards. He was allegedly used as bait to lure high-net-worth individuals into rigged games. These games weren't played in backrooms with cigars. They used sophisticated technology that sounds like it came out of a spy movie. Per the October 2025 filing, the games featured X-ray devices that could read face-down cards through the ink on the back, and rigged shuffling machines controlled by a remote operator. The FBI alleges these games were backed by the Bonanno and Gambino crime families, 2 of the most notorious names in organized crime history. The league's squeaky clean image of a Hall of Fame coach was being used as a front for a La Cosa Nostra cash grab, and the transcripts of the wiretaps show that Billups was fully aware of these special advantages the house held over its victims. Now we have to move to the most shocking point of this entire scandal, which involves a specific game on March 23, 2023. This is where the theory of spot fixing becomes a terrifying reality. According to federal prosecutors in the Eastern District of New York, Terry Rozier allegedly planned to exit a game against the New Orleans Pelicans early to trigger a massive betting payout. In that game, Rozier played exactly 9 minutes and 34 seconds before leaving the floor, citing a sudden neck strain. Per the indictment, members of a gambling ring placed over $200,000 in bets on Rozier's under prop lines across multiple platforms just minutes before tip-off. This wasn't a random injury. It was a calculated financial move. When a player knows exactly when he's going to stop playing, the house doesn't just win, the house is in on the job. The FBI tracked the digital footprints of these bets back to a series of offshore accounts linked to the same associates who were running the rigged poker games with Billups. To understand how deep this goes, we have to break down the insider information pipeline. Per the federal charges, former player and coach Damon Jones allegedly used his restricted access to teams like the Los Angeles Lakers to feed sensitive health data to professional bettors. On February 9, 2023, Jones allegedly sent an encrypted message to a co-conspirator stating that they should bet heavily on a specific game because a star player was secretly struggling with the flu that hadn't been reported to the league. This wasn't a guess. It was a breach of professional trust for profit. This mirrors the scandal of Jontay Porter, who was banned for life in 2024, but the FBI suggests this new ring was much larger and more organized, operating with a level of sophistication that the NBA's internal data partners like Sportradar simply couldn't detect. Let's look at the financial receipts of the Rozier ring. According to the bank records seized during the October raids, the group moved over $15 million through a series of shell companies based in the Cayman Islands. These companies were listed as consulting firms, but the FBI asserts they were nothing more than laundromats for gambling winnings. In one specific instance, on January 14, 2024, a transfer of $50,000 was made to an account linked to Rozier's inner circle just 48 hours after a game where he shot significantly below his season average in the fourth quarter. While bad games happen to everyone, the FBI argues that the timing of these transfers creates a pattern that is impossible to ignore. Timeline contradictions reveal a massive failure in the NBA's own oversight. According to a report by The Athletic in early 2026, the NBA actually investigated Rozier for suspicious betting activity back in mid-2024. At the time, the league issued a brief statement claiming they found no violations of their gambling policy. Yet while the league was clearing his name, the FBI was already 6 months into a wiretap operation that caught Rozier discussing point spreads and injury timelines with known associates of the Gambino family. This raises a massive question. Is the NBA's internal security actually equipped to catch these crimes? Or are they more interested in protecting the brand and the billions of dollars in sponsorship money they receive from legal sportsbooks? The league's partnership with companies like DraftKings and FanDuel is now under a microscope. Per the legal analysis provided by ESPN's investigative unit, the irony of this scandal is that the very tools used to make gambling legal, the real-time data and the micro-betting apps, are the same tools that made this rigging scheme so profitable. When you can bet on how many points a player will score in a specific quarter, the incentive for a player to shave a few points becomes a constant temptation. The FBI suggests that Rozier wasn't the only player being courted by these rings, and that more arrests might be coming as the receipts are continued to be analyzed. We also have to discuss the impact on the Charlotte Hornets and the Miami Heat, the teams Rozier played for during the alleged timeline of these crimes. Per team sources, there were whispers in the locker room about Rozier's outside associates, but no one wanted to be the one to speak up. This is the code of silence that exists in many professional sports leagues, where players protect their own, even when the integrity of the game is being compromised. The indictment suggests that several other unnamed co-conspirators within the league may have provided information or assisted in the scheme, meaning this is just the tip of the iceberg. The human cost of this scandal is significant. Chauncey Billups, a man once known as Mr. Big Shot and a pillar of the Detroit Pistons championship legacy, now faces up to 20 years in federal prison if convicted on all counts. According to his legal team statement on November 1, 2025, Billups denies all allegations of rigging and claims he was merely a participant in private social games that he believed were legal. However, the FBI's evidence of the X-ray technology and the shuffling machines suggests these were far from social. They were predatory traps designed to fleece millionaires under the guise of high-stakes entertainment. What does this mean for the future of the NBA? The NBA has already announced a total review of their gambling policies, but many critics argue it is too little too late. Per the reporting from the New York Times, the league is considering a ban on all player prop betting to prevent the kind of spot fixing alleged in the Rozier case. This would be a massive blow to the revenue of the league's betting partners, creating a conflict of interest between financial growth and game integrity. The reality is that the NBA has invited the gambling industry into its living room, and now it is finding out that the guests brought some very dangerous friends. To understand how the NBA's elite are actually moving behind the scenes and how these agencies protect or exploit their stars, you need the full context. The Rozier scandal is just one chapter in a much larger book of industry secrets. If you want to see how the money, the mob, and the media intersect to create the narratives you see on TV, the next step is essential. You have to watch the Court Vision Rope Industry Secrets playlist. It is the only way to understand the real game being played off the court, where the stakes are much higher than a championship ring. We're documenting every move, every receipt, and every lie in this investigation. Don't be the last to know how the game is truly being played.